Thanks to mail and ancestry DNA services, people are discovering all kinds of surprising things like shocking lineages, long lost siblings, and family secrets that have been buried for decades. Subscribe our channel and click on bell icon to get the latest update of our videos. Today, our topic is 10 interesting things that happen to people after taking a DNA test. DNA can tell you a lot about yourself. DNA tests can do this by looking at your DNA to determine what functions it exposes in your genetic code. That's why some DNA tests are able to provide health and lifestyle information. DNA is essentially code. The order and combination of the code provide instructions for creating organic material. Segments of DNA convert amino acids into proteins. Proteins do all sort of things, including creating new cells. That's how you get the building blocks. From amino acids to proteins, proteins to cells, cells to tissues, tissues to organs, and organs to people, dogs, trees, cats, and so on. Long strands of DNA are called chromosomes. These chromosomes are passed from both a father and a mother to a child. The child's DNA contains code that represent characteristics of both parents. Now we are going to tell you 10 interesting things that happen to people after taking a DNA test. Number 10. Oh brother! ABC News correspondent Whit Johnson participated in a DNA test on a whim. Though he knew his father had been adopted and little was known about his biological family, Johnson discovered that he had an uncle, his father's previously unknown biological brother. Armed with this man's contact information, Johnson shared the results with his father, and the two long-lost brothers were reunited. Number 9. Dr. Shocker. Kelli Rowlette knew she wasn't related to her father. Her parents had used a sperm bank to conceive her. However, no one was ready for the results of her DNA tests. After consulting with Ancestry.com, Rowlette learned that the fertility doctor her parents worked with used his own semen to impregnate her mother. According to a BBC report, Rowlette has a lawsuit pending against the retired doctor for fraud, medical negligence, battery, emotional distress, and breach of contract. Number 8. Family friends. At the age of 74, Walter McFarlane decided to take an AncestryDNA test to learn more about his biological family. He had been raised by his grandmother, but the details of his biological family were hazy. McFarlane learned that his long-term friend who grew up down the street was actually his half-brother, Alan Robinson, who had been adopted. CNN reported that Robinson and McFarlane shared the news that they are brothers at a family dinner. Here are 24 little things that help make you a true friend. Number 7. Parents and their pasts. You don't expect scandal with your parents, but that wasn't the case for Houston Chronicle reporter Paul McGrath. He learned that his mother had been in an undisclosed relationship while serving in the Marine Corps. The man McGrath had assumed was his biological father was not. An AncestryDNA test led him to his half-siblings, the children of his biological dad, Domingo Malacuas. Here are 34 things your parents' health reveals about you. Number 6. Father figures. A stem cell and reproductive biologist, the anonymous George Doe, explained to Vox how he came to participate in a 23andMe DNA test when teaching a course about the genome. However, his results offered an entirely different lesson for himself. Upon clicking a link that offered to connect him with close relatives, he stumbled upon a man named Thomas, with whom he shared 22% of his genome with. It became clear that he and this man had the same father, meaning his father had a secret affair. The revelation tore Doe's family apart, leading to the divorce of his parents. Number 5. Sibling surprise. Adopted as a child, Matt Henninger took an AncestryDNA test to learn more about his ethnicity. Once he had the result, no surprises there, he forgot about the test. Until a few months later, he received an email from Joyce Bergender, who said her results suggested that they were closely related, possibly first cousins. After some more digging, the two discovered they were actually brother and sister. As a 12-year-old child in an extremely poor family of 5, Bergener had a memory of Hanninger being born and their mother giving him up for adoption, reports the Deseret News. Read these bizarre sibling stories you won't believe are true. Number 4. Close encounters. Tracy Melton has always assumed her biological father was deceased, according to a KSLY News story. Eager for answer about the paternal side of her family, Melton signed up for an AncestryDNA test and discovered her father, Rinaldo Delgado, was very much alive. Melton, who was raised in Los Angeles but relocated to Spokane, connected with Delgado, and the two learned that they lived only 12 miles away from one another. Delgado and his wife had decided to move to the state just 3 years earlier. Number 3. DNA discoveries. Keeping family secrets under wraps isn't as easy as it used to be. Case in point. Bob Hutchison told the New York Times that his mother was always very secretive about her upbringing and family, never disclosing anything about her own parents except to say they were Italian and Swedish. Hutchinson decided to take a mail-order DNA test and learned he is 1/8 sub-Saharan African, which revealed his mother was actually mixed race. Read how one writer had her DNA tested and she says it changed everything. Number 2. We are family. Neil Schwartzman, who was aware he was adopted, turned to 23andMe in an effort to find his birth parents. He ended up finding his biological sister, who had no idea that her mother had ever given a child up for adoption. According to Forbes, the three finally met after Schwartzman's newfound sister confronted their mother about the results. Number 1. Crime and punishment. Sometimes it isn't an unassuming at home DNA test that proves most shocking, but a court-ordered one. The California serial killer known as the Dream Sleeper was finally identified through DNA he had left behind at a crime scene. The link came through the killer's son, who was forced to provide DNA because he had committed a felony. To confirm the killer's DNA link, though, detectives had to get a current DNA sample from the man, which they did by grabbing the leftover pizza he tossed while out for lunch. This is considered the first familial DNA arrest in the state of California. If you like our video, so do subscribe our channel and don't forget to hit the bell icon to get the latest updates of our videos.